What's up, my favorite content consumers? It's Just Call Me Eddie here, back with another project video. And today I'm not working on one of my own cars, to your surprise. I'm actually working on a car for a very dear friend of mine. His name is Mr. Duncan, and he owns Duncan Imports. This car is a JDM Classic. It's a 1990 Subaru Legacy, straight from Japan domestic market. This car has a transmission problem, and we're going to be going over everything we had to do to it to fix it and the trials and tribulations we went through as well. So sit back, folks, tie up your work boots. It's time to get dirty. A little bit of a special case here today, guys. I'm going to put this on the Just Call Me Eddie channel because this is a little bit of a project. Now, this came here for a transmission issue. It will not shift into overdrive. Now, this thing is special, and I said that at the beginning of the video, and I'll tell you why this thing's special. In fact, it was built in Japan. And you're like, well, it's a Subaru. It's supposed to be built in Japan. Yeah, but it's a Japanese market. It was built for the Japanese market. So it's a right-hand drive. You can see it's a little bit of Japanese writing in here in some places. All right, nice little Subaru box motor here. I think this is a 2.2 liter. But we're gonna go ahead and pull it inside and see if we can pull some codes off this thing. We gotta get the dinosaur scanner out for this thing. All right, doesn't run the best, but the window goes down. A little bit of misfire. Check engine light. Look, that's even in English. And we got kilometers on the dash here. Still got your RPMs over here. Got kilometers on the dash. We're not gonna know how fast we're going exactly. This thing is missing pretty heavily. I mean, D1 plugged in. See if we got power here. Oh no, no power. All right, so we hooked something in the back, this little plug in the back of it, and ran it to our battery up there. So we're running the whole entire car and the scanner off the jump box right now because that battery's dead. So I want to scan these codes first. Check engine lights on. Oh, we got a fuel injector 2 problem. Okay. Knock sensor circuit or open or shorted. Okay, and know why this is misfiring now. We have an injector problem on cylinder number 2. So cylinder number 2. Injector is right. I think this goes 3, 4, 1, 2. So it's underneath this jump box. And we're going to take the injector off, find out which cylinder's number 2, take the injector off, see if I can get it to pulse, see if I can get it to do anything, if I can get a part number off of it. Maybe clean it out, maybe it's just gummed up a little bit, and then stick it back on and see if it works. I would rather not do that, but it looks like we're almost past that point now. All right, update. I got the injector out, but I can't check it because I broke it. So, all right, so I got a nice fuel injector here. It was pretty expensive, but we got it. That is running so much better. No misfires. Close the hood and take it for a drive. Mabel, you stay here, okay? I'll be right back. You stay. Second now, third. I felt like I was supposed to shift into fourth there, and it didn't, and we just died. Car just died. I don't know what happened there, but the vehicle just died on the road, so that wasn't ideal. After driving the vehicle and discovering the problem no upshift into fourth gear, we knew this was probably an electronical problem and not an internal transmission problem. The other problem is the vehicle shut off while we were driving, and that's probably a result of a few more bad fuel injectors. So we're going to put those on and get the engine performing the way it should and try to pull transmission codes out of the transmission control module and see if there's anything preventing us from shifting into fourth gear. Now, getting transmission control module codes out of this transmission control module is a little tricky, and we're going to show you the procedure right now. All right, we're going to get history codes here. Now, we want to start and warm the vehicle to operating temperature, drive it over 12 miles an hour. We've already done that. Now we're going to turn it to the off position, which on the ignition switch is right there. The manual switch is off. That's the manual switch right there. It's off. Now we want to make sure the shifter's in park, turn the ignition on, make sure the power light comes on right there. Bam, it is on. Take the shifter, move it all the way to manual 1, turn the manual switch on. Now we want to turn the key on. We want to wait 1-2 seconds. Then we're going to move the manual to second gear and then turn the manual switch off. Move the switcher to the third range and turn the manual switch back on. And then we're going to move the switcher to the D range, turn the manual switch back off, and then we're going to take the accelerator pedal and and now we got codes flashing. Long, so that's 2 long, and then we got 3 short. So that's a code 23, 1 long, 2 long, 1, 2, 3, 4 short. That's code 24. Okay, so we got codes. Now, what do they mean? So when you have 3 long and 1 short, that is code 31. Now we go up here and we can see that code 31, especially on the legacy model, has to do with the throttle sensor. Look at, now we have 3 other codes here, 21, 23, and 24. Now 24 is a duty solenoid C, 21 is a temp sensor for the transmission, and then 23 is an engine revolution signal. So we had that going on. So we're going to clear the codes, see which ones come back, and then we're going to isolate. And I'm thinking we're either looking at code 31 here or code 21, ATF temperature sensor. To clear the transmission code, you have to disconnect the battery and pull the transmission fuse. Now you'll know they're cleared because the power light will not blink when you start the vehicle. But the codes came back shortly after I drove this vehicle, and we still did not have overdrive. So like any sensible mechanic, I replaced the components that were causing these codes, and that would be the ATF temp sensor and the throttle position sensor. There was also 2 other codes for a duty solenoid C and an engine revolution sensor. But like I said earlier, I'm mainly focused on this ATF temp sensor and the throttle position sensor. And that's mainly because both of those components will prevent you from shifting into fourth gear if they're not working properly. After some digging online, I was actually able to find the components that worked for this vehicle. I found an ATF temp sensor that was a little different than the one I had on it, but all that was really different was the length of wire. So I maneuvered it into a place on the transmission where it would still work and plugged up, and we were ready to drive it again. We still did not have fourth gear, and we had no upshift. And we decided that we really wanted to make sure that this was actually outside of the transmission and not inside of it. So we decided to put some test lights on the transmission to see if it was shifting into first and second and third gear like it should, and if it was actually commanding a fourth gear shift and not achieving it inside the transmission. Now, this test came back showing that we weren't even getting a command to go into fourth gear, which tells us that there is something either wrong with the TCM or the wiring going to it. At this point, we had to find the location of the TCM, which is not an easy task because this is a right-hand drive JDM market. I don't have any information on where the TCM is in this vehicle, but after tracing down the wiring harness, we found it underneath the dash on the driver's side, which is actually the right-hand side. We got the part numbers off of it, and we were going to test some wires to make sure all the circuits were good, and of course they were. Now, we were looking online for a transmission control module, and this is in a JDM vehicle, which in the Japanese market, Subaru released these legacies with four-wheel drive. Most of them, I think all of them in the Japanese market were four-wheel drive. However, in the US market, most of them were front-wheel drive, and they did not have the four-wheel drive transmission. And that'll make a difference if we're buying a used module in the US market. We got to make sure it's a four-wheel drive transmission control module, and also will plug into our vehicle as well. After what seemed like months to weeks of looking at the same TCMs on eBay Motors, we finally decided to send the one we had out to be repaired while we were still looking for one that might work in our vehicle. Once we got the TCM back from being quote-unquote repaired, we installed it, and it still did not shift into fourth gear, still had all three codes stored in the transmission control module, and we still had no solution for what we could do to actually get this thing to shift into fourth gear. That's when I decided to take a gamble on a part on eBay Motors. It was a four-wheel drive US market 1990 Legacy TCM, and it looked like it would plug up to us, and it had similar part numbers. So I figured, why not? Alright, so we are in the 1990 Subaru still, and we've tried everything, man. We've tried to repair this TCM, send it out, get repaired, and we've tried circuit testing. So now I got a used TCM here, and it's a four-wheel drive TCM, so I believe it should work. It had 205,000 miles on it, so it's got plenty of use. Maybe that's the problem. So we're going to unplug this TCM. Here's our new one. That's oh, yep, okay, plugs up. And plugs up, all right. I think we got it, and we're waiting on a green light here. We're gonna test it one more time here. All right, here we go. First gear, 1, 2, not a hard shift. 2, 3, not a hard shift. We're in third gear. And now we're in fourth gear. We got all four gears, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Honestly, driving this car and feeling it shift into fourth gear, I still can't believe we got it done. What seemed like an impossible feat, working on a Japanese market car with no information and no prior knowledge, and actually finding the issue, isolating it, repairing it, and seeing it drive down the road properly, I deserve a pat on the back, and I'll go ahead and give myself one. Now, I have other JDM vehicles, and now I'll have to pull some more impossible feats to get them to run as well. So, I'll be making YouTube videos on those, so you should go ahead and subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for any more videos that I have coming out. You could also head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow me at Handyman Eddie on Instagram and at Just Call Me Eddie1 on Facebook. Stay tuned to this channel because there will be plenty more videos coming out, and you can go ahead and like this video if you learned anything from it. Thanks for watching, and whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, make sure you stay dirty, and you can just call me Eddie.